First, Steve, let me say that I refer you to the company for any confirmation of or comment on that particular question. It continues to be the position of the federal government, the FBI, that it is not in the interests of the private sector for companies to pay ransom because it incentivizes these actions, leading to your point. I will say that one of the lessons that other companies should take away from this hack is that it's important to harden your cybersecurity, to take the necessary steps to ensure that you're protected. There are steps we can take from the federal government. Obviously, the president signed an executive order last night. We believe that it's important to increase cooperation, sharing of best practices between the public and private sector in a way that hasn't been done in past administrations. But ultimately, it's up to these companies to take the steps to protect themselves.
Cybersecurity tends to be the ultimate push issue. And what I mean by that is when an event occurs, when some kind of a ransomware attack like the attack on the Colonial Pipeline, or tampering with elections, as was the case, or was believed to be the case several years ago, then the public is immediately aware of the issue and tends to react fairly strongly to it. And what I mean by that is that even though it's not a top of mind issue, 3/4 of all American voters would like to see stronger cybersecurity capabilities, a stronger cybersecurity posture. And this is also an area where leadership can help define the path forward. Many Americans would be supportive of also taking retaliatory measures for attacks on critical infrastructure. It's clear from our previous polling over the last few years that tampering with elections is an area that voters want to see strong reactions towards any kind of cyber attack. Tampering with critical infrastructure is also an area that they like to see stronger reactions on cyber attacks. And in general, they don't feel that the infrastructure that's being provided by the US government and also by many businesses and enterprises is adequate enough to meet the challenges that we're facing today. When cybersecurity attacks, like the recent attack on Colonial Pipeline, become pocketbook issues, and what I mean by that was in many states along the eastern board, there was not enough gas for consumers, and that drove the prices of gasoline up in some cases fairly significantly. That impacts voters and consumers directly, and it lands the issue or the potential impact of the issue. That even though this is not top of mind, cybersecurity concerns are not top of mind when compared with the coronavirus pandemic, vaccination, the economic recovery, the core set of issues that voters have in their mind today. Very quickly, a cyber attack can actually become a pocketbook issue, and when that happens, voters will look for action from their leaders, will look for accountability from both the U.S. government and the private sector. And this is why it's important for both businesses and the federal government to have infrastructure in place and plans of action in place when these events do occur. And so I actually see this as one of the least partisan issues out there. This is actually a fairly bipartisan issue. In our own polling, where overall 3/4 of voters said that the U.S. needs to have better cybersecurity capabilities in place, this included an overwhelming majority of Republicans, an overwhelming majority of independents, and even with Democrats ascribe to that view. So it's not a partisan issue, it's a fairly bipartisan issue, and voters tend to react strongly to national security concerns, and especially national security concerns that end up becoming pocketbook concerns.